Hey, it's Mike, and it is Friday. It's May the 8th. It's early on Friday afternoon. You won't see this till Saturday because I'm not going to try to post it today. I'm just going to do a quick video. I say quick. I've just got a list of a few things I thought I would run through here on the video. I'm not going to do a chart lesson or anything as far as point out the trades. Here you can see my chart for today. We had the trend up, and we just went into a range. We didn't break out of this until after 2 o'clock, so it doesn't really matter. Your measured move would be the width of the range. And this was a pretty clear range. And so it's not quite, the market hadn't quite closed yet. It's real close. So it looks like their prices are going to attempt to make that measured move before the market closes. We'll come back and see because I'll probably still be doing this video 15 or 20 minutes from now. And that's about when the market closes. So we'll put our little line up there and we'll see if it meets that target or not. But this was real clear. You got pretty clear trends up and down here. And this range is actually bigger than it looks. It's about I think it's about a 15, 16 point range. So there's enough room in there to trade the trends. You have to be careful with that though. But you can see you got a few bounces off the lows that would have been relatively easy buys, but you don't get a lot off the high. You get a couple right in here off the highs. And so you didn't have much option but to trade the trends. And again, this is big enough, and these are clear enough trends that you could have traded them. There's actually a real short-term one right up through there. But again, I'm not going to talk about the trades. That wasn't the purpose of this video. I just wanted to give you wanted to go over a couple of charts people sent me, and I wanted to read a couple of emails that some people sent me, just so you'd have some learning opportunities over the weekend and some motivational stuff too. So let me find the first thing I want to read to you. Okay, this trader sent me his chart, and he sent me an email with the statistics. But I want to read you the email first. It says, "Hey Mac, hope you and your family are safe and well during these crazy times. I just wanted to share my statistics with you. You're one of the best teachers out there, and trust me, I bought a few expensive classes that have been just a waste of money. I've been trading for 2 years and full time for over a year. I've watched all your videos and have seen most of them more than once. Yes, you need to have tough skin because no one believes me on these stats. I've learned I can't always care what people think. They need to try it for themselves. With that said, it takes time to learn this. It took me a year, and you still have to learn new stuff every day. Price action is the key to making money along with patience and waiting for the key entry points with market context, of course. Most people leave that detail out. I attribute everything of what I know to you. This is just last month. Most months are around the same. Please feel free to use this. Thanks for all you do, and hope you and your family are doing well once again." So this is his performance right here in front of you. The quality of this is not real good. Let me see if I can get it just big enough to see it without really distorting it too much. But you can see his total profits of 7,000. I think they said this was a week. Yeah, this was a weekly. 4.8 to 5.1. So this was last week's performance. Looks like he had, let me make it a little smaller. I'm trying to see how many trades he had. Looks like he had, I just can't see that. Looks like he had 94 trades, 78 winners, and 12 losers. Where's his percentage at? I'm having a hard time seeing this. 80, almost looks like 80, almost 83% profitable. But I mean, that's some pretty good trading for a week. And that's the same thing, you know, when I used to show my performance, it just brought more trouble than it did anything good because nobody ever wants to believe it. You lied, you made it up, you did this. But 94 wins, or 94 trades with 12 losers. It doesn't get much better than that. So that's really good trading. Congratulations to this guy. Thanks for sharing because I know some people need to see this kind of stuff. And they want to know that somebody else besides me can do it. It's not just me saying this, other people say it. So thanks for the email. Congratulations on your success, and hopefully some of the others of you can eventually do this too. It can be done, and I'm not the only one doing it. Okay, here's another one email I got. Hey Mac, I recently bought your trading manual 2 weeks ago after finding your YouTube channel and consuming as much information as possible, and found it to be an invaluable resource. I just thought I would reach out and firstly say thank you. There are a lot of pretenders out there selling these promises, bogus strategies, and only doing it for self-gain, whereas you come across genuine and want to share your knowledge and not just pushing your own incentives. Buy my course, buy my course. I have no real previous conceptions on trading, only the aforementioned pretenders. And since being furloughed from work, it's given me the time to invest in gaining knowledge about the market and trends. I don't see this as a get-rich-quick scheme, more an opportunity to get away from the mundane 10 to 12-hour days working for the man. I started using your strategy this week and currently have an 87.5% win rate so far. Annoyingly, this could have been higher, but 2 of my 4 failed entries were down to user error, getting to know how the platform works and setting up the strategy. And that happens, so that happens to all of us. I'm no expert yet, and I'm aware I still have a lot to learn before even thinking about going live. Anyway, I thought I would reach out and share my chart, as I feel my chart shows a good example of the differences you were trying to convey in your latest video, which was the one from yesterday. Where no 2 charts are exactly the same, I feel my chart indicators were better for me, as it allowed me to get an early entry and then pick up on the reversal at the bottom of the channel. I'm gonna kind of paraphrase this, just kind of move on through it. But basically, what he's saying here is what I was saying wrong true, because his chart looked different than mine, but he still had really good trades on his, and he didn't have any problem having a good trading day. So anyway, happy trading. I look forward to continuing to watching more of your content and gaining more insights as I progress on my journey. And so yeah, I mean, here's a guy that's only been doing this 2 weeks and has an 88% win rate. And again, I want to make sure people know I don't read these emails because I want to pat myself on the back. That's not what it's about. So if it comes across that way, please don't take it that way. The only reason I read these emails is just so people can see that other people do this, that people can do this. You know, you see a guy post a comment on YouTube, a guy posted yesterday that this was too hard and didn't work anyway, and says he's been trading for 14 years. And I've got nothing against that guy, and maybe he has been trading for 14 years, but has he tried? I mean, if he's been trading for 14 years, why is he even coming to the channel and watching it? And then secondly, has he used our course? Has he looked at it? If he hasn't, then how does he know it doesn't work? I mean, sure, you can watch a few videos if it doesn't make sense. If you can't read a chart and you don't know what we're doing, and you look at those videos, they look crazy. I'll be the first one to tell you, if I didn't understand what a chart was, how to read a chart, and I opened up one of these videos and just watched it one time with no real understanding of how price action works or anything, I'd probably say, man, that's crazy looking. Because the first few times you look at a chart like this looks wild and crazy. But once you understand it, it just shows you the structure of the market, the context, very simply. And so for somebody to come on there and say it doesn't work, you know, how does he know? Has he tried it? If he's been trading for 14 years, why would he even be looking at our course? So, you know, people that do that, I don't know who this person is, but usually those people have an agenda, and they come and they make those posts for a reason. I don't pay them any mind. Most of the time I don't even respond to them. Occasionally I will, just because you just wonder what somebody's motivation is for even posting that. So, you know, if you've been trading for 14 years and profitable, I doubt you're going to be on YouTube looking at trading videos or people that are trying to teach trading. So you're going to be busy trading every day. So that's a big question mark in my mind. But anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that. Let's go on to the next. Okay, here's the next one. This gentleman sent me an email with his performance. Says, hey Mac, I know you get a lot of emails, but I want to thank you and share my results with you for this week. I bought your manual about a month ago. I've been studying and training really hard, trying to understand everything you teach. I'm not new to trading, but the result is really new to me. Also, I'd never tried multi-charts, US brokers, and EES, MES, so a lot of new stuff to learn. It's amazing how well this works. I know I have a really long way to go and will continue to always learn, study hard, stay true to price action, and humble to the market. Those are all good points too. Again, thanks for doing what you're doing. Wish you a really nice weekend and stay safe in these strange times. All the best. He puts his name there. But here's the good part of this. This gentleman, his profit factor, I'm trying to figure out how long. Let me see if I can actually open this chart. This is really a snapshot. I'm just going to see. I'm going to pause it and see if I can open. Okay, here it is. I was able to open it. Let's see. Trading period. So this is a 4-day trading period. Looks like 5/4 to 5/8. So 4 days. Basically, this is his week's trading. Profit factor 156, basically 155.65. And I'll read people that people say you can't do much better than a 1 or 2 profit factor. That's ridiculous. That's terrible. And here's a guy doing 156 in a week. I know this is only a week, but that's still pretty doggone good trading. 584% profit. $102 trades, 75 winners, 21 losers, for a 78% win rate. So that's pretty doggone good. But that is that's the one that tells the tale right there. And that's the one that people tell you is the most important. 100, I mean, you just can't do much better than that. So great work there by this gentleman. So thanks for sharing it. And I've just shown you 3 in a row here of people that are doing really well. So it shows you that this stuff works if you just stick to it and do it properly. Okay, here's another one. Hey Mac, I want to thank you for all you do out there day in and day out. I've never had trading experience, but I was thinking about learning it. I went to YouTube, watched some videos, as many newbies do. I discovered, I won't even name them here, I'm not going to give them credit, but he first came across a couple of other traders, and he was about to purchase their course. But I did some research, which took me straight to your site where I purchased your course. Read it over and over, start practicing on the simulator, and still practicing. Thank you for your help. I use multi-charts, which is great and free of charge through AMP Futures. Please see my trading performance report attached. A lot of people are using multi-charts, and it's free. And it does pretty much the same thing as NinjaTrader. I prefer NinjaTrader, but I'm a creature of habit, and I've been using NinjaTrader forever, so I don't plan to switch over to. I've already paid my lifetime license long ago, so unless they suddenly force me, tell me I can't use NinjaTrader anymore or something, I'll probably never switch. But anyway, it's 2 or 3 in a row that said they use multi-charts. But total number of trades, 24. 16 winners, 16 losers for 72, almost 73% profitable. Pretty good work there. So for a guy that's only been doing this 2 weeks, I think, isn't that what he said? Just trying to look back. Anyway, nice job by this gentleman. Thanks for sharing your work, and because this does give encouragement to other people, and people like to see that people have success too. So Okay, one other thing I wanted to tell you was I'd shown you how I was doing the data series. I'd shown you the data series here, and I was using ETH2. I'm going to switch it to ETH since most of you that's all only option you have. So I'm going to switch it. There's not much difference in them, so I'll switch and use that one. It'll reload my data here, and I've already reloaded it once or twice today, and it didn't make much difference change at all. It might have changed the bar slightly, but you can see there's not much change there. My chart looks exactly, everything's still fitting in the lines exactly like it was before, so it doesn't really change anything. So I don't think there's much difference between ETH and ETH2. It has something to do with, I think the ETH2 just shows the market close at 315 and then reopen at 330, but it doesn't matter anyway because it closes from 330 to 430 anyway. So I think it just has something to do with that small change in there, the way it starts counting again. But anyway, regardless, I changed mine to ETH, so hopefully a bunch of you didn't go change the ETH2. If you did, it doesn't matter if you want to change back to ETH. It doesn't take but a second. But just so we can try to get our charts looking the same, it doesn't matter. You can trade them as long as you got the right number of bars and you got 2,000 tick charts with similar number of bars, then that's all that matters. You want unfiltered tick data. The other thing too that a lot of people ask me about is it's cheaper if you only use the top of the book data, and we don't use the DOM. I know that there's a lot of older traders that use that. It's kind of like reading the tape, and so they're used to it. It's a tool they use, and when you get used to something, it's hard to give it up. So they're probably not going to change, but those guys need the depth of market. So if you want to use the DOM, which we don't use the DOM because we're just trading right off the chart, reading the price action, which is easier and faster in my opinion. But whatever works for you, do it. If reading the DOM works for you, I'm not going to tell you not to do it. But I think it distracts you from looking at the price action and seeing what's going on. But if it works and you've got successful trading, then do it. Do it. But you don't really, if you're just going to trade the chart like we do, then all you need is the top of the book data with unfiltered tick data. That's the two key points. Just make sure it's unfiltered tick data, and all you need is top of the book because we don't need depth of market. And if you do it that way, it's only anywhere from $4 to $5 or $6, $7 a month for your data then, and both the ES and the MES both come from that same data feed, so you don't have to buy two. You can still trade them both off the same one. So that's all you really need. So keep that in mind. Okay, I wanted to show you a chart here a trader sent me, and the main thing I want to show you, there's something interesting about this chart that he missed. What he was looking at, this as a failed second entry short, which it is, but he was counting from here. Notice you got a first entry and then a second entry from right there, but that's not your swing low. Here's your swing low. So you have to count from here. So there's your first entry and then second entry, and that's actually a third entry short. However, the trigger point for the failed second entry is still one tick above that bar. So it didn't really change anything because we never broke higher until here. So the failure doesn't occur until prices break higher, and that's right here. But he was trying to trade this as a trap, and it looks like there's enough room to still get out if he entered one tick above this bar right here, which is where you would have entered. But there's a couple of things I wanted to show you. First, you got to count from the right place, and really there's actually, notice the new low. So there's a first entry and there's a second entry short right there. And if you're counting off the highs, there's a first entry, and that's actually a second entry long. But the problem is, and I can only see this much of his chart, so I can only assume his trend line is right. but you can clearly see the resistance up here. So when you're working into this corner, this is probably one of those places where you say, hey, it's almost impossible to know how this is going to play out. You got the resistance right here, so it's dangerous going long if you don't have room to scalp out. And then you got the support right here, so it's too dangerous to go short as well. So what do you do here? Well, the answer to that is you do nothing. You just sit tight and let this play out and then get a new read on it based on what the price action does from there. So another trader sent me a chart, and we were doing something similar down on the low end of the range this morning. And I told him the same thing. You can't tell whether the trend line's going to win out or the support's going to win out. So you just have to kind of sit tight sometimes and let it play out, and then figure out what you're going to do. So, but I wanted to show this because I wanted to show you what a failure looks like, because there's a first entry and then a second entry. And it's kind of unique because there's really a third entry, but it's still a failed second entry short, exactly where he wanted, where he talked about, because that's when it breaks higher. Even though it made another jog down on the third entry, it's still a failed second entry at the same place. So he was off on his count, but he still got it right because of a unique situation there, and I wanted to show that too. But just make sure when you get between two major points like that, that you're not going to know exactly what's going to happen. So what do you do? Well, anytime you don't know what the market's going to do, or you're not quite clear what's going on or where prices are going next, you don't do anything, because if you take a trade right here, you're just gambling. And what happens to gamblers? They don't make it in this business. They lose. We're not gamblers. We only take very high probability trades so that we keep our win rate very high. And that's the difference between some of these traders. Emails that I'm reading that's got 80, 70 and 80% win rates is because they're taking high probability trades, and they're not chasing trades all over this chart, which is what most new traders do. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. Okay, this trader sent me their chart, and they got a trend working up right here, and then you get this big correction here. But notice how they had their channel. But that channel is not holding prices at all. That's the first indication that your channel is wrong. Look how you got this one right. That's holding prices nicely up through there till you got to overshoot, and then it wasn't long till you got to break a new high. So he got that one right. He got this one right. Look how well that's holding prices. But look at this one. You got two tiers working up, and your trend's way up here. So this is not holding your prices at all. So that tells you this is wrong. And then he waited and made a double top, and then a first entry, and there's a second entry right there, what looks like off his trend line. But because his trend line is not correct, he's actually entering in a downtrend, and he doesn't even have his downtrend trend line on there. And then he got this trend right, but he takes a short right here. Notice we're trending up, we're in the channel, and so I'm assuming it's because it's the second entry, but you see the first entry, and then you're running up, and you got a second entry short right there by one tick, and then it turned up. So that's a short trap. That's a failed second entry short. But there's no reason to go short here, because your signal bar, you got matching highs, so you could use that for your signal bar, and you could use that one, either one. They're both very bullish though. Then you get another inside bar to an inside bar, so that's a double inside bar, and it's pretty bearish, and that's what he went short below. So first of all, when you see three bars going sideways like that, just scratch that trade altogether, because most of the time you're just going to get trapped. That's congestion, and you're setting up a little range, so there's a little range there. And if anything, you still need to be going long, because we're trending up here. You're probably going to get a measured move similar to that one. That's what I would be looking for here. In fact, if you measure that, you get if you measure this right here and then move it over here, it's a perfect measured move. What do you know? So I'm going to show you how I would have marked up this chart now. All right, this is how Look at the difference. Look at how that contains prices all the way up. That's what your trend should look like, or your trend line and your trend channel, not this blue one. So if you drew it like this, you see that this has already had closes outside and pushed to a new high all in one there. And you can see where it clearly trending down here. And so he went long right into this down trend line when this is obviously over. And you can't really see it there, but everything is below his EMA too. So he went long right into that as well. And again, notice how you got 1, 2, 3, 4 bars stacked up side by side. That's not a good sign. When you start to see that another trader sent me that I read the other day, that's one of his rules. If he sees congestion, he just forgets about that, because you get hung in these little ranges. And if you're not reading it right, you get yourself in trouble. So you're better off, if you start to see 3 or more bars stacking up, just treat it like a range, especially if it's real tight like that or that, and just sit tight. Don't do anything. You'd be better off. Just watch it. And as you get more experience, then you can start to figure it out. So looking at this chart now, I wonder if he would still go long there. Right into the highs of this range, this little trading range, right into the downtrend line, right into the EMA. Everything's screaming short here. And then right here, working up, everything's screaming long. Your trend's up. You're just kind of going sideways here. If you break out successfully, you'll probably break out the way you traded into it, so that's to the upside. Your trend line's in play. So here you went short right into a trend line. And it touched it and instantly turned and went right back up the next way, the other way. He'd have been better off to play that short and go long right there. And boom, been a great trade. Same thing here. He'd have been better off to trade that as a trap, but there's not a real good setup here. This has a good short setup here because of the little break lower and then turn and go out the other side. So that little break lower will probably trap. He probably wasn't the only one that got trapped there. So, but I hope that's helpful there. That's how, here you need to be going short and he's going long, and here you need to be going long and he's going short, just backwards. So work on that. Okay, here's the other example. It's just similar to the one I told you, except this one's to the downside, where you got two converging. This trader's got the range down. Look at that. I mean, he's got it perfect. He or she. They got the trend line working down perfectly. It's holding prices. This is a good chart reader as far as being able to find support and resistance, because those are drawn pretty doggone good. But here's where the mistake was. They took a long, they took 2 longs here, trying to, and they had the right idea that you want to try to buy this range right here, the support. You're expecting prices to maybe bounce there, but the problem is you got a sure enough channel coming down that's holding prices all the way down here. So you don't want to go long inside this down channel, especially before you get to the lows. Notice that they went long first here. And then that one failed, and it came back and they tried it again, and that one failed. And it went a little lower, and then it ends up coming back, and from here it went on higher back into the range. So you had a little failed breakout. So you're just guessing right in here. The problem is you got your trend line working down and it's holding, and you got support right here that's been holding. So you can't go short into that support, but you can't go long until you know this trend channel or this trend line is not in play any longer. And you don't know that. So this is one of those areas where just sit tight unless you get a really good setup. And I would call that a bounce out of here and a higher low above the EMA or something like that. And you don't see anything like that. Look, even right here, notice earlier how flat the EMA is. But by the time you get ready to go long here, it's pointing down. That means you're in a downtrend. And it doesn't start flattening out till way over here when it's back in the range again. Pay attention to that EMA. The only good thing I would see about trying to get long somewhere in here is you're so far away from the EMA, but you need a good setup, and there's just not a good setup. You want to get a higher low. You either want a higher low way away from the EMA so you got a lot of room to run back to it, or you want to get a higher low up above the EMA back inside this range, just like somewhere in here with a chance to go long. And you just don't get that. Neither spot here. So the play here is do nothing, because you don't know which one's going to win out. And if we're not sure of what prices are going to do, and we take a trade like one here and one here, we just took two gambles and we lost both times. That's what happens to you. On this one too, what's interesting about this one is his entry. This is actually your signal bar right here. That makes your swing low, so your entry is right here. But I don't think that they entered till way up here. Actually, it went lower and turned and went out the other side, so you could have gone long one tick above that. But you're not back down to your lows yet, so it's too early to enter. But if you were going to enter here, that's how you would do it, or you would go wait for that to close and go one tick above it. And you can't see where... You can't see his entry because it's hidden behind here, but it says he entered at 29.06, which means he entered right here. So he's late on either signal bar. And that's another example. You can't be one tick late and you can't be one tick early. Your signal bar is not arbitrary. It always has to be the lowest or highest bar in the swing. Here's your lowest, and that one. Here's your highest there. There's your lowest. Your lowest. That's it. The signal bar is always the lowest or highest bar of the swing. It's not arbitrary. So your entry is one tick above that signal bar. Now, in this case, it's a little special because it broke lower first, and if it was a really good setup, when it went out the other side, that's a good sign you're going to run a little bit, maybe probably back to the trend line. So if you got enough room there and there's everything else looks okay and you wanted to go long right there, this is one of those cases where you could enter above this bar right here. But again, it's one tick above it. It's not way up here. So really, he's 1, 2, 3. He's 4 ticks late. If he's not 4 ticks late, that's a winning trade. Even though he messed up, it's still a winning trade. This one, he had no chance. It wasn't enough room back to the trend line, and it hit it and turned straight out. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. So that's going to really do it. That's 30 minutes worth. That'll be a good, again, I'm not going to post this, so you won't see this till Saturday. I'm doing this on Friday, early afternoon, but I'm fixing to close up and get out of here, and I don't want to have to do anything else today. So I'll set this to post tomorrow, probably early tomorrow morning. And so if you'll see it, it'll be at least Saturday before you see it. So give you something to work on, something to study. But I hope that's helpful. And you could learn something from some of those charts. I've gotten a lot of feedback. That's something new we've started doing recently, and I'm going to try to at least do 1 or 2 of those a day before I do the chart lesson each day. And people just tend to, I've gotten a lot of feedback that that's helpful to people. So people like seeing other people's charts, because they do this. I mean, a lot of people make the same mistakes. So seeing somebody else's mistakes and getting to learn from it can be helpful. So, and it's impossible for me to really come to the chart lesson and pick out mistakes and say, well, you shouldn't have entered here. I mean, that's just almost impossible to do. People say, why don't you mark bad trades? Well, how do you really do that? So if I could, now that people, so I just decided the way to do that is actually show the charts people send me with bad trades, and then you actually get that. So and I've had good feedback that people like that. So it's been interesting. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm done for the week. I'm gonna start my weekend, and we'll get this. You'll see this sometime on Saturday or later, depending on when you watch it. But hopefully it'll be some good weekend stuff for you. And I hope everybody has a great weekend. And I hope you had a good trading week. And we'll be back Monday. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And we'll see you next time.